All right, before we lose you again, I want to get to it. That is the Battle of the Atlantic. So Meth and I have put in our where we think teams will line up in the Atlantic Division now that we're back to playing normal divisions, and who we think is going to win the division and where the Senators are going to finish. So here they are. So I went 1-8: Florida, Tampa, Boston, Toronto, Montreal, Detroit ahead of Ottawa, and then the Buffalo Sabres. Meth is a little different. Tampa, Toronto, Florida, Boston, Montreal, Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo. Now, I will give you my reasoning for a couple picks. One, Florida, I just think they're going to put it together. And I think
Yeah.
Tampa is going to maybe fight the Stanley Cup hangover. Boston always is a good team, but I'm not a big fan of their goaltending, much like Toronto. You could flip them to me, but I don't like
Yeah.
Toronto's goaltending. And then I think Montreal has to be the next team. And then Detroit, I think, is taking a step. The reason Ottawa was there was one, Brady Tkachuk wasn't signed when we did this a few hours ago. And two, again, I don't like their goaltending right now. And I don't really
Yeah.
like the way their back end is built. So that's the reason why I have Ottawa. I think they're going to struggle based on that back end. But that's I originally wanted to put Ottawa higher. And I said earlier in the season, or in the offseason, that I think perhaps Ottawa finishes higher than Montreal this season. I still think it's possible. It's the goaltending that's the issue for me. Meth, you can explain yourself if you want.
Well, I mean, you've got Florida. Like, okay, so you've got Florida finishing first ahead of, okay,
Yeah,
and you brought up the Stanley Cup hangover because that worked
yeah.
out really well. Your case would have been sold really well last year, coming off their
If they
first
didn't
Stanley
back to
Cup that
back,
they had won. So, yeah, so, but whatever, I'll give you that. That's fine. You know what? I just think they're too deep. I think defensively, their goaltending is excellent. They're just too hard to write off. So I'm going to go with Tampa as my number one, only because they didn't lose that whole lot, and now they've got a healthy Kucherov. I mean, the young man has had the entire season off. He's going to be fresh, assuming he's not still hung over. I think he'll be really good. And then Toronto, I mean, it's, you know, and you guys know me. I'm a Maple Leaf hater to a degree, but I have to respect them. And to suggest that the team that finished first in the North last year is going to finish behind Boston and Florida, like, come on, man. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not, and you might end up being correct, Wally, and I might end up eating my words, and I'm sure you guys will pull this clip up at some point. But for me, it's pretty simple. I really believe in the list that I provided. I think that Florida's going to take a step forward. As we know, they were terrific last year. But Montreal, I just like the makeup too and the structure that they play with. I still think they've got a good chance. I know a lot of people thought last year was a runoff. I don't know that they're going to make it nearly as far as they did last season, obviously, but I do think that they're still a legitimate team and they can play the right way. We saw them play last night. I thought they were excellent, so I'm going to go with that. I mean, the bottom three, that's a crapshoot. I mean, I think Buffalo's solidifying number 8, but I
yeah.
mean, you're right. With Ottawa and Detroit, that could be a coin flip. It's anybody's game at this point, but I really do believe that Tampa and Toronto are your top two.
So, listen, one of the other reasons for the way I picked it is there's always surprises that happen every year. So you got to try to find
Oh
out
yeah,
where that surprise might be, right? And so I think that
yeah,
Florida, if they get the goaltending with Spencer Knight and Bobrovsky, if he can turn it around, and I think with Huberto and Barkov and Duclair, like they've got enough pieces, I think they can
oh
challenge.
yeah,
And that's why I just think
yeah.
somebody else needs to take a step. And Boston
No, no,
is, I like Boston always is interesting to me because I know they don't have Tuukka Rask and but they always just seem to be able to put pieces together. You know, Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno were there. I just like
oh yeah,
perhaps Boston over Toronto for that reason. I don't like
for
the
sure.
goaltending with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I know that's a big question mark, but they just have so much offensive firepower that it's hard to bet against them. Now,
Yeah,
if you ask me what it's going to look like in the postseason, that's a different conversation. And I don't know that I'm going to be leaning on Toronto as much. But right now, for the regular season, we know how they play, and they always step up during the regular season over the past few. It's just they're too hard. They're too good a team to write off. But again, those top fours, I think we could agree for the most part. I think, yeah, they're very similar. You know, it's a coin flip, and we're a lot of this is just guessing and predicting, and a lot of time,
yep.
oftentimes I should say, we're going to be wrong. But yeah, I just really think with Tampa, I'll leave it at this. With their goaltending and that decor, how do you write that off?
Now let's go to Ottawa for a sec because I know that we cover the Sens, and so I'll throw it out there. If Matt Murray could
Okay, let's
turn
hear it.
his game around,
Yeah,
and you get Victor Mete being able to play, and Josh Holden, and some of these unknowns, if you will, to us, all of a sudden start to play their game.
yeah.
Are the Ottawa Senators in fifth, perhaps? I don't think
No.
that's a
Okay,
crazy
so
stretch.
so here's a question for you then. If you think that they've got an opportunity, and this is where a lot of people this gets a little sobering if you're a Sens fan. Look at Montreal. We both have Montreal at 5 right now.
Yeah.
Just as an example, by the way, do you see them beating Montreal in a 7-game series right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just
With or
I
without
look I
Carey
look at
Price?
I don't think, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter because Carey's an elite goaltender, of course. But even with Allen, I just I don't I like I said,
Okay, but
and this is based off of the game that I
mm,
watched last night. They're more mature. They know how to win. They've got so much
yeah,
experience now. And they've got good rookies. Like, let's not sleep on some of these young guns they have. They're legit. So I don't see it. But again, I really can't stress this enough. I'm such a huge Ottawa fan. I do hope they prove me wrong. But from an analyst point of view right now, I don't see them getting any further up that ladder past 6.
the only issue is like there's no Shea Weber, there's no
Yep.
Phil Deneau,
That's huge. Huge loss.
right? Like
They're
I,
hurting right now. They're hurting.
I don't know that Jake Allen can carry the team for 50, 60 games. And it's no
Yeah.
slight to Jake.
Yeah.
We're from the same hometown, and I quite like him. I just don't know if you can
Yeah.
continue to hold your fort
Yeah. We'll
down
see.
for that many games. So if
Okay.
what if
We'll
Matt
see.
Murray becomes the star, if you will, that he's known to be? The Ottawa Senators have a legit shot. Like I think that they've got enough pieces. If they don't get the goaltending, I think that puts them in trouble.
Are you Wally? Look at their
What's
bottom
what?
two lines of look at their bottom two lines up front. Are you kidding me right now? There's no depth. And then on D, like they don't have anything. I mean, anyway, again, I
I
say
like
I'm
Austin
trying
Watson.
not to be negative.
I like
You're making me
Alex Formenton.
yeah,
They
yeah,
you could have like, and I know we're not overly excited about the guys down the middle with Colin White and Chris Tierney, but both have
sure.
proven that they can play in the league. Like, is it the best
Uh,
bottom 6 in the league? No, but I still think that they're good enough to perhaps be at fifth. Is what I'm trying to
all
get
right.
at.
You know what? If I go any further, I'm gonna get people are just gonna hate me. So again, I'm gonna try to keep this positive. I like the team for the most part. I don't think it's a playoff team. We can leave it at that. Okay.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree, but I
Okay.
just think there's going to be surprises by somebody, and it may very well be them.